We have few students, right? Pushpika, then Surya Rachi, Fernando, Gunawardana, Jayavikrama, then Samara Singh, DNAG, as well as we have Nalim. Okay, so welcome. I hope that you enjoyed doing your group assignment. And in fact, what we saw was that students had done nicely, right? Now you have your individual assignment. And that day there was a request. I think Surya Rachiputa, you got the information, no? That we extended it till Wednesday.
Yes, I did.
Indeed, I immediately told because there was a kind request from our good students. And I told, why not, right? But again, that will be the last extension, right? And because no point giving more and more and more extensions. Okay, right. Today, I'm going to discuss about audit data analytics. Very briefly, but again, today I'm going to introduce a software to you. It's, in fact, I cannot say it's a software, but it's an Excel add-on. Indeed, it's a software that you can, the trial version you can get access to. And I'll be just elaborating the power of that CATS, computer assisted audit techniques, right? So if I share my screen with you, and then afterwards I'll be discussing the remaining past paper questions. And that day I discussed about case study number 1, right? Question number 1. That's the case study that I discussed that day. And today I'll be discussing. Okay, Mohammed, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Mohammed's microphone got unmuted. Right. Hope you can see my screen, Putha. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Excellent, Putha. Thanks. Thank you very much. So you can see that there is, or in fact, there was a session called session CATS, right? So we have 2 data points and likewise. So it was there. It was in fact, the last thing that we are supposed to discuss. And yes, I extended your individual deadline as well. You can see it. Right. Individual assignment deadline. It's on 14th. Right. You have 2 more days and you can compile that and do the things. And there are already 2 people who submitted, but if you want to submit freshly, you can go ahead. Till the deadline, you can replace if you had done it, right? So that's about the individual assignment. And now let's go into CATS, computer assisted audit techniques. So please download this file and then I'll be elaborating that. So what are CATS? Right. So we'll have a live demonstration as well. How we can perform CATS. What do you mean by CATS? Let's see. Hope you can see my slideshow. It says session CATS. Is it?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, very good. Good. Thank you. So here you can see, right? We'll try to discuss what are CATS. What's a CAT? What do you mean by ticks and clicks? What's a financial statement audit? I think you can now teach me. Then what are the advantages of using CATS? Then what are the precautions of using CATS? Then what are some example techniques of using CATS? So we'll be discussing all of these things briefly and give you an idea what are CATS. This is data analytics, audit data analytics. In the audit data analytics, we can uncover errors as well as frauds. Right? We can now, if I ask this question from you, what's the difference between an error and a fraud? First of all, let me start with that. What's the difference between an error and a fraud?
Error is unintentional, whereas fraud is intentional.
Exactly. Very good. The intention. Exactly. You gave me the exact answer that I expected. Right? Errors are unintentional, while frauds are intentional. There's an intention to harm someone in a fraud. On the other hand, errors are really mistakes, by mistakes. Who can really establish whether something is an error or a fraud? Right? Sometimes the party that could do is distinguish and establish whether it's a fraud or an error is the courts of law. That if there's a dispute and if a person commits an error and then being accused of fraud or vice versa, then finally, right, whether it's a fraud or an error, right, might be able to be established in front of a court of law. So that's why in audit data analytics, we will uncover there are anomalies. There are issues in the data, but we might not know exactly whether it's errors or frauds. Right? So that's something that the auditor will have to investigate, particularly in a forensic accounting perspective. So that's a separate topic to be discussed at someday, forensic accounting. And I think one of the greatest assets in this area is Mr. Ashen Jayasekar. He might even teach you, or he might have taught you earlier about this subject. But today what I'm going to discuss is CATs. So what's a CAT? You can see CATs are computer assisted audit techniques. So it's an abbreviation. You can see CATs, CAAT, computer assisted audit techniques. Refers to using technology for increasing the effectiveness and efficiency of auditing. So in a CAT, what you use is use the computer technology. Technology to do audits is what we call CATs. Right? So CATs enable auditors to do more with less. You can even check 100% of your population, right, with very less time. Right? If you are using CATs, computers to do the audit, then you can now do what? You can reduce the amount of work. Reduce the amount of work that you need to do manually. So it's going to increase your efficiency, effectiveness, as well as economy. It will be very economical. Of course, the initial cost might be a little bit higher, but then you can earn dividends over dividends right later on. Return on time invested. Okay, so basically, CATs are using technology to perform audits. And today you will get a hands-on experience by using one of the CATs, one of the easiest CATs. Right, I'm not going to take you through idea, but again, now these are some audit software that you could use. We have idea, then ACL was there, now we call it Galvanize, Teammate Analytics, Arbutus Analyzer, etc., etc. And today we are going to experiment something called Active Data. Active Data, which is an Excel add-on. Right? So if you want to download Active Data, so let me show you how to do that. You'll go to the internet and you will type Active Data. Active Data. Right? Even it charges Active Data for Excel, no problem. It's an Excel add-on. So you can see it takes you to the Active Data for Excel, and you can go to the download page. So you can see you can download, you can give your information and submit, and it will allow you to download the trial version. Right? You can get the trial version. which is a very powerful Excel add-on to do audit data analytics. So if someone is interested, of course, today I'll be demonstrating. So I recommend please download it. Right, it's a trial version, unfortunately, but again, you can learn a lot out of the trial version itself. If you are interested, you can buy or you can ask your firm to buy the original version. So I just posted the link, right? You can now download it. Right. So please fill your information. In my case, please the information. And then where did I heard it? On the web. That's where I heard it. And you can submit that. You give your information. And I do have my own copy, but again, then you can see active data is there. So you can download this particular file, active data 86EXC, and install it. It's a trial version that will work for I think 30 days. And today I'm going to demonstrate that. They have given me the professional version free of charge because for teaching purposes. And I'm using that for this. So once you install that, it's not a huge package, it's quite good package. Then once you install that, you can see right, there will be a thing like this. Right, so like open a new. So you can see that there is something called active data. In the ribbon, there will be a new item, a new ribbon that comes in. You can see the active data icon is there. So here in my case, it's active data. I have got the full version, registered full version, and that's what I'm using. As I see updates, I don't think there are updates. Yeah, I got the latest version, which is this is the latest version. Okay. So we'll see then what kind of audit data analytics we can do. So if you have not already downloaded, I suggest you to download it and install this active data. So you can do certain audit data analytics. Okay. Right. Let's go back to the slideshow. So what's a CAT? You know, CATs are computer assisted audit techniques. So today I'm not going to have any quizzes, so don't worry at all. But again, this might be tested at the exam. Right. So therefore be vigilant and be attentive. Then let's see what do you mean by ticks versus clicks. Ticks. Now when you audit, you know the people who audit, they tick. When they verify a balance, when they check an invoice, they put a tick mark to say that they have checked it. But that's manual auditing. But on the other hand, now we don't do ticks, we do clicks. Clicks means computer assisted audit techniques. We are using technology now to do audits. Those days is what we used manual auditing, but still in certain instances we have to use manual auditing because the client systems are manual. So we have an option, we have to do the audits manually. But it's a very time-consuming task as well as a boring task to do manual audits. But now it's very interesting to perform, right? CAT-based audits, right? Computer-assisted audit techniques, using computer-assisted audit techniques to do the auditing. Right. Is that clear? What's a CAT? And why do we need to? We'll also discuss what are the benefits of using CATs. There are several benefits already you can know. It's very, very fast. Right? It's very fast. You can check the entire population. And likewise, there are several other benefits. And also in the long run, it's very cost effective as well. The initial purchasing cost, the investment is quite high. But in times when time passes by, you recover the investment. Okay. Is that clear? Clear. Right. Okay. Now, if I ask you this this question, what is a financial statement audit? You all know this answer. That's what I'm asking you. What's the purpose of financial statement audits, which we call statutory audits, then financial statement audits? Because we use different names, but what's the main purpose of performing or executing a financial statement audit? What's the main purpose? To express what? Whether the financial statements are true and fair, right? So an independent auditor, an external auditor will try to express an independent opinion whether the financial statements are true and fair. And in these annual reports of listed companies, you can see that they have included the external auditor's report. So auditing is basically checking whether the financial statements are prepared and presented based on the accounting regulation, the accounting standards, the applicable accounting standards. So we know that there are, of course, some of my good accounting students know that there are 5 financial statements. So basically what the auditors do is they use computer assisted audit techniques to check these financial statements and finally express an opinion. So the auditors would always be able to give and tell whether something is true and fair. They might not be able to tell it is 100% accurate. They might not be able to tell it is 100% accurate. What they could say is the financial statements are true and fair. Why? Why can't the auditor give an absolute assurance, a guarantee that the financial statements are accurate? Why? Why is that? Usually, the auditor is unable to give that an absolute assurance to tell that the financial statements are accurate. What he or she could do is tell whether it's true and fair. Why?
Because they just check a sample.
Very good info. Very good explanation. Because auditing is done on sample based. In JKH, there might be millions of invoices, sales invoices. You are going to check a sample out of it. You are not going to check all millions. Right? In a traditional audit perspective. But if you are going to use CATs, you can almost check 100%. Right? It will, because the computer is doing it. You can see now even computer assisted audit techniques has got AI as well. You can understand if AI comes into the room, what kind of innovation, what kind of transformation, what kind of development could take place. Right. Now, I even asked to write, right? I use ChatGPT. I'm an ardent user of ChatGPT, not to forge assignments because I don't do now assignments for for my degree because I done all my degrees. But on the other hand, for different purposes, I'm using ChatGPT, particularly for Python coding. For Python coding, I use ChatGPT. Now let me give you an example. Right? Let me show you an example because this is where you can use technology for your purposes. Now, here you can see my calendar is there. Can you see my calendar? This is my calendar. Now let's say I have my past calendar. Let's say I want an Excel table. And today I'm going to teach you some Python as well. And I'll tell you how easy that is. Right? And I'll demonstrate. You will be fascinated to see that. Let's say I want Python to go through my calendar and check what are the sub lectures I did for last month or last 2 months. Let's say, or like in July. Let's say July. In July, what are the lectures I did? So what I did was I went to ChatGPT. So let me go to my ChatGPT. By the way, I have got the paid version. $20 per month, which it's well worth because I get a lot of things done from ChatGPT. Not forging assignments by the way. So I could write a Python code. I asked it to write my Python code to extract information. Right. So these are some Python codes that I asked to write. So I just tell, okay, write the Python code. To extract a key word from my Google Calendar. Then it will write Python code. I'll show you what it does. Right, it's only one application. Then I have automated a lot of things in my life, like automatic YouTube uploading, etc., etc. Here, it writes the Python code. And what you have to do is you have to run it. That's all you have to do. So let me now demonstrate. So you can use a free Python compiler like PyCharm and run this. So you have to just copy and paste this, that's all. So let me do that. I have already done that. Okay, so let's say, so this, the shortcut I had already done. So already in PyCharm, I have created a small file to run that. I have installed Python in my system, and then I have also installed the software called PyCharm. PyCharm is a compiler, right? Again, free, that can run the Python code. You can directly run the Python code as well. But again, here, now let me run and show you what happens. So this is the code that was displayed. You had a little bit struggle, but again, see, it has written a marvelous code to do a marvelous thing. Now let's say I'm going to run this code. So this was not written by me, it was written by Python. So I'm going to run it. You can see I ran it from here. So still it's opening. Okay, run. Okay, now it's running that Python code. You can see. Then it asks, okay, it will ask certain questions. I asked to give, so what are the key terms and the year, the month, it will ask me. Then it will search my calendar, the entire calendar. So it asks what? Enter the research or the search term. Let's say SAB. I need to know what are the SAB lectures I did. And I'm going to enter. It asks, okay, in which year? I say 2024. Then month, right? Enter the start month. Let's say I want it in July. Then also in month, July. And that's it. I will enter. So what it will do is it will go to my calendar and it immediately generate an Excel file. So this is the Excel file, and I have asked it to open the Excel file as well. You can see it went to my calendar and it summarized, right? It summarized when I had my lectures at SAB during last month. So these are the dates, start time, end time, and even the location is given. Right? So I did not write this code. If I had to write this code, it would take 1 year or even 1 month because it's so complex. But ChatGPT wrote it for me. And now when I want anything to be researched, now I can ask to check my email as well. And download certain things, send automatic emails, and submit reports automatically every 1 month. So likewise, Python coding as well as, and you can do now, for an example, if you have 500, let's say PDF files, invoices, you can ask Python to extract certain information from those 500 PDFs and create an Excel file with them. You don't need to do that manually. It will go through 500 PDF files, extract the certain information, and it will create a database in Excel. Right? So you don't need to know Python. What you need to know is you need to know ChatGPT and ask it to, and it tells, okay, how to run the script. Everything is given. Right? So this is the future that we are talking of. And on the other hand, if you want to write an SPSS code also, you can ask, okay, run an SPSS code. If you want to run a stata command, you can write, okay, you can say, okay, give me the command to run regression in stata. And I'll say the dependent variable, let's say it's ROA, and independent variables are, let's say, age, right, of the company, then growth of the company, and then leverage. That's all, and you can present. Then it will write the stata command for it, which you can run through your do file. Yes, it wrote it. You'll just copy this and paste it to, of course, you should have the data set, and it will do the rest. Right? So that's what I say. Artificial intelligence could do a lot of things. Okay, but people are using for assignment generation, right? And it can be easily detected if you use this one as well. Okay, never mind. So let's come back to, so Python is this, and I'm using for these only one application. Then I'm using numerous for automatic now. Once there's a YouTube video, let's say I have a Zoom video, right? I can run a particular code that will automatically log into my YouTube channel and upload it and give me the link. So I can give it to my students. If not, I'll have to have about 500, not 500, let's say 10 or 15, 20 clicks to go to YouTube. I'm quite very lazy to do that. So now I have written a code, and that code was written by ChatGPT. So this is the future that we are talking of. So as end users, you don't need to know everything, and everything will be done by ChatGPT and other kind of AI tools. You have to know how to use that and when to use them. Okay. So on the other hand, let's say I'm also teaching at TIM, Postgraduate Institute of Management, for their DBA as well as PhD program. So I can say, okay, run. And I'll say, I want the lectures I did at TIM, right? And it's in 2024. Let's say it's again, let's say 2 months, let's say June, right? June to, let's say, July. I just enter this, sorry, July. I just enter this, and I have asked the program to write an Excel file and then open that Excel file as well. I'm just going to enter. Something went wrong. Yeah, because now you have to know these things, because it will give an error message because I have already opened that file, this file, the calendar event file. I'm going to close it. So that one you have to understand. Or if you get this error message, what you can do is you can copy that entire error message and put to ChatGPT and ask what's wrong. The wrong thing was I had opened this Excel file and I am going to, without closing that, I ran the code. So I'm going to put that. But on the other hand, you can say error, and you can paste that error. Then ChatGPT will tell exactly what has happened. Right. So it says what? Here, the file is open. So please close the file. Right. So see how easily we can get troubleshooting as well. So I just closed it. And again, let me run ChatGPT, Python PyCharm. And yes, it's PIM. And 2024, June to July. Hit enter. Now it's executing. And now it wrote this Excel file and it will open this Excel file. You see, these are the PM lectures that I did during those 2 months. Right. The dates are given, the times are given. Right. So you can see how things are going to change, right? So you can ask Python to go to your email and extract information. You can send automatic emails to your customers and a lot of other things. So you don't need to know Python. Right? But having a basic understanding of Python is going to be important. Just a basic understanding. You can go to YouTube and then you can download this great software. This is called PyCharm. Right? You can go to this software PyCharm and you can download it. PyCharm is the compiler, which does a decent job. You don't need this, but it makes your life easy. And it is a good way that you can keep your, this is my YouTube upload video. So I don't need to go to my channel. I'm going to run this and it will automatically update and tell me what's now for an example, now this YouTube upload, this is another Python code that I wrote. Let me demonstrate. Now let's say I have some video I want to upload. So I'm going to run the command. It says, okay, it will ask me now it's running, right, this particular command, and now it will tell where is the video. And it has gone to my Zoom folder because I told the default folder is Zoom. And let me take a small video. Maybe I don't, not that large video. And you can see how quickly it will upload it. Here it's around 16 MB, so it's not a large video. So I'm going to just select that and see what it does. I'm not going to go to my YouTube channel to upload this, and I'm just going to say open and see what it does. It's now uploaded. It goes to my YouTube channel, which I never opened. And then finally, to share it with my students, it will give the URL finally. That's what I asked it to do. Finally, I tell it to give the URL. Now it's uploading that 16 MB file. Because I'm very lazy to go to YouTube and go to my channel and take about 20 clicks. Why should I? So therefore, my students, these data analytics, this is what we are talking of. So try to try to use these technologies. All these codes were written by not by me. These are all written by ChatGPT. Right? And I'm using that for productive purpose. Now it's getting uploaded. But I can do something else in my computer. Then lastly, it will give the uploaded link, and I just need to share that with my students. And I have told, make it a unlisted video. Also, I have told that it's not for children. Right? Because those are certain questions that when you are going to upload a YouTube video, it asks that. So it will do it. So it's still uploading. And after maybe 1 or 2 minutes, based on your internet connection, it will give me what's the URL. And just I have to play it. Yeah, see, it's already here. So what I have to do is I have asked, okay, Even it tells share this YouTube URL with your students, because I told I need to share this with my students. So it even put that text there as well. So I can copy this. And if I just put that in my browser, it will show you that the video that was uploaded. So this was uploaded now. Right? It's still processing. You can see still it's processing, but it was just uploaded. So I don't need to waste time. If not, usually I have to go to my create, then upload. Likewise, it's a terrible thing that I have to do every time. And I really hate to do that, right? Choose video, then tell that it's unlisted, not for kids, not for monetary purposes. I don't try to monetize. A lot of queries. And then I have to wait for another 1 minute. But here it takes few seconds, and you can see that particular video is uploaded now. You can see it's just uploaded. Right, August 12th, just upload. So I just demonstrated. So this is the power of ChatGPT as well as Python. Python can create Excel files, extract Excel files, can do a lot of other things in Excel files. Right? But you have to know what to do and how to. Just to tell in simple English to ChatGPT that what you want to do. Then once it creates the Python code, you can put it into a Python compiler like this, copy and paste, and execute. That's all. Let's see what are your repetitive tasks, even in your office work, and see how you can use Python to automate them. Okay. Just demonstrated two things. Then there are several other things that I use Python for, but these are only few things that I use. Okay, let's go back. So that's true and fair, right? Just one student told why an auditor could give true and fair view, because the auditor is doing on sample basis. The auditor does the audit procedures based on sample basis. He or she does not check 100%. But in your auditing lecture, right, you also might have studied that there are another 4 reasons why an auditor might not be able to give an absolute assurance. Right? Sample checking is only one. There are another 4 reasons why an auditor might not be able to give 100% assurance. What are those? Let me remind. The fact that what there are inherent limitations of internal controls of the client. The client has inherent limitations, right? How can the poor auditor give 100% assurance? Then, majority of the audit evidence is persuasive rather than conclusive. The evidence is persuasive, it's not conclusive, majority. Now, if you see a sales invoice, it says that a sales occurred, but you were not there when the sales occurred as the auditor. So it's persuasive, but not conclusive, right? Then third one, right? Majority of the audit evidence sometimes, right? Some of the, not majority, right? Some audit evidence is estimates. Now, for an example, warranty provisions, right? Some accounting estimates, some accounting balances are estimates, like warranty provisions. So can the auditor check 100% what's an estimate with the accuracy of an estimate? No one knows that, isn't it? So the nature of certain account balances are such that it's estimates. Those are estimates. So how can the auditor provide absolute assurance? And the fourth one is that the auditor, performs an audit, and the audit itself is a judgmental exercise. The people who does audit, they know that you have to set a material level. What is material, right? It's a judgment. Even the audit opinion is a judgment. It says opinion, not a fact. So auditing is itself judgmental. It's not an exact science like chemistry or physics or mathematics, right? It's a social science. So it involves judgment. So how can you provide 100% absolute assurance when the exercise itself, auditing itself, is a judgmental exercise? So likewise, then comes sample testing. So number one is sample testing. Then there are another 4 reasons why the auditor could provide only a true and fair. Right. Okay. Right. So what are the benefits of cats? No, maybe there might be an examination question. We'll see the past examination questions. It might ask you, okay, what are cats and what are the advantages of cats? Now you should know what are the advantages. What's the main advantage? It's very fast. Now see, I used a Python code. It's not a cat, but again, I used a Python code that checked all my calendar, right, electronically, automatically, and gave me an Excel file by putting my calendar search items. Right. It took only about 1 minute or 2 minutes. If I had to do manually, it would have taken sometimes 1 hour. And you have to copy, paste, and it's a big hassle. So it's very fast. It's reliable. But sometimes humans might not be reliable. They might commit mistakes. Or even some people might tell, some audit trainees might tell they checked it, but might not have checked it 100%. In fact, it's efficient and effective. It's cost effective in the long run. Yes, the initial purchase price, or it might be an investment. It might be higher to buy a cat, but on the other hand, it's well worth the investment. And also you can check the entire population. If you have 1 million invoices, you can ask the computer program to check all 1 million invoices. So you can see these are the advantages of CATs. But however, when you are going to use CATs, computer assisted audit techniques, in your audits, you need to have certain precautions. You need to be careful. What are the things that you need to be careful? You can see number one. First of all, you need to see what data you need to audit. Now, for an example, if you want to audit accounts receivable, and if you are going to take accounts payable, then that's not correct data. Right? Even when it's relevant, you have to take the correct data files as well, the format that you require. You have to tell the client that these are the files I require, or you can extract it from the subsystem of the client or whatever the systems that they have. What are the important fields you have to determine? Is it the amount column, right? The amount field, the sales date field, then the description field. Likewise, you need to say what kind of information you require. And also, you need to know what is the format. Is it in Excel format, PDF format? What format you have to use, right? So it's complete data that you get. You need to ensure the data analysis is relevant. Then you have to see, okay, if you are going to do a gap analysis, which I'm going to teach you how to do a gap analysis, whether it's relevant. Then whether it's substantive testing or test of controls, those are audit terms, don't worry. Likewise, you need to know, you need to answer these questions. You need to have these precautions before you do any CAT. Because CATs might be very efficient, but if you give it to the wrong data, the analysis will give you wrong information. While you need to check, let's say, accounts receivable, but if you input the accounts payable information, it will give you an excellent output, but completely wrong, because it's not what you want. So these are certain precautions that you have to. Okay, then what are the techniques? Now I'm going to demonstrate some of these techniques, right? You can identify exceptions. You can see now, for an example, whether some customers have exceeded the credit limit, you can immediately identify. You can analyze controls. You can identify errors. You can perform statistical sampling. You can detect frauds. You can verify calculations, particular tax calculations, additions, deductions, you can check, discounts. Then we can check existence of records. You can see whether the data is complete, data is consistent. You can check duplicates. You can see gaps, duplicates. You can check inventory obsolescence, whether the inventory is obsolete, you can check that. Then accounts exceeding an authorized limit, you can check that as well. Likewise, there are several things that you could check. Now let me show you how to do some of these things using, right, active data. For that, how many of you installed active data at the moment? Install kara. I'm going to now demonstrate that. So if you are installed, that's good. If you are not, don't worry. Yeah, I can see some people have. Pushpika has done it naturally. Yes. Only Pushpika, no? Oh, yeah. Then Kannangara also has done it. How about others? Install kara. Yes, I can see some other Nalin, then Siapriyan. No, sorry, Nalin. Yeah, good, very good. So please do install. How about Surya Rachi? Right. Don't worry. You can. Right. So please do install and we'll demonstrate. Now for that, we'll download these files as well. So this is ChatGPT writing Python codes. And it will even detect errors. And if you tell that some error has occurred, it will give the new code. So steps to fix this issue. So likewise, it's a very comprehensive thing. And remember, ChatGPT came not to go. It will expand. Some things come and go. I can see particularly ladies' fashion. Stays only for about 1 month or 2 months, then it leaves for good. But ChatGPT is not like that. It has come to stay. And you have to understand how to use it for productive purposes. Not to forge assignments, right? That's you are using for unethical purpose, but you can use it for ethical purpose. It's like fire or knife, right? Fire or knife is itself not bad, right? It's how you are going to use it. But if you are using for bad purposes, then it's bad, right? Okay. So please download active data and then go to your LMS. And then, of course, you can see there's company 1 and company 2. So let's go to company 1. And you can see there are several files. So please download all these files, right? And then open, right, this Word file. Session, all exercises. But you have to download these Excel files, right? So these are in Excel S format and old format. So I have downloaded it already. So these are the files. So you can see, please open this session, all files, Word document. So it says what it's all about. So it's about Roger Company. That's the sample company that we are going to use. So then we'll see what kind of testing we could do. These problems are the testing that we could do. And let me demonstrate some of these testing. Right, some of this testing, you can check that. Right, I'll see some of the testing, not all, but right. You can see how powerful active data is. Particularly, I'll show you how to do the age analysis in active data. Several kinds of problems. These are all testing, duplicate testing. I'll show you certain things. Right, okay, but again, right. Okay. So then active data, you can open these files in Excel. Right, active data is only an add-on. So AP stands for accounts payable, AR stands for accounts receivable. So we'll start with accounts receivable and I'll show you certain tests that we can do on accounts receivable. Right? So once you download the AR file now, so let's open this Excel file. Can you see that AR accounts receivable? So please double click and open it. Okay. Now this is what we call an open invoice file. Although it calls itself accounts receivable, but it's an open invoice file. At the end of the period, right? These were the outstanding invoices, right? Unsettled invoices that are there. You can see here the amount is there at the first column, then the account receivable clerk, then whether it's authorized, then the cash receipt clerk has processed it, then credit limit is this, the customer number is given, right? The due date is there, GL clerk's initials are there, the invoice date is there, the invoice number is there, particular. So these are the open invoice file, right? So why I'm calling it open invoice? Because for the same customer, you can have several transactions. Now, for an example, let me demonstrate. I'm going to just filter this. So I'm going to choose F, I'm going to data, I'm going to filter. Let's say I'm going to select one customer. Let's say I'm going to select this customer. So you can see for that customer, there are 3 invoices yet unsettled, accounts receivable. That means we have to get it, we have to receive it. So the amounts, the total is this. So these are the 3 invoices of this customer, right? So it's not accounts receivable. These are outstanding invoices for this particular customer. That's why we call it open invoice file, right? Okay. Now let's do certain tests. First thing I would like to do is, I would like to see, right, whether the invoice numbers, whether we have duplicate invoice numbers. Can we have duplicate sales invoice numbers? You can take down checking duplicates if you want. Duplicates තියෙන පුළුවන්. Sales invoices can have duplicate numbers?
No.
No, you can't. One sale should have one. You can have, of course, you can have a sales broken into smaller components under one invoice, but again, usually you cannot have, of course. But can we have gaps in invoice numbers? Gaps තියෙන පුළුවන්. Usually invoices are issued in a consecutive way. But now, for an example, if you say like this, now you will say, okay, one. Now, for example, first invoice, second invoice, third invoice. Likewise, it will have the serial number. These called consecutive number. Now, can there be number 5? Number 4 missing? Can number 4 go missing? Let's say these are the invoice numbers. Can or can't? You can cancel invoices. But can there be 2 number 5s? එකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Can't. Invoice numbers should be unique. Right. I just demonstrated. Now let's see whether within these invoice numbers, whether there are duplicates. So you can take down if you want. Duplicate testing using active data. Duplicate testing using active data. Let's try to check whether there are duplicates. Duplicate invoice numbers. How to do that? Very easy. You should go to active data, of course. And then check, do what? You can duplicate. Let's say duplication. And just click duplicate. And then it asks, okay, what column that you need to analyze. Let's say I need to say invoice number. In invoice numbers, I need to see whether they are same duplicates. Right? Then I will say, okay, I could tag duplicates if I want, or I could extract it to another sheet. So by default, it's extracted to another sheet. So I'll leave it as it is. And I'll say, okay, finished. Is it clear? Just choose invoice number, where you need to see whether there are duplicates. Press finished. So you can see it immediately came up with a new sheet and says that there are 3 duplicates. Shall we check whether it has same invoice number? You can see this. The invoice numbers, here there are 2 duplicates. The same invoice number is there, 832219. So same, then there's another pair in the data set that has duplicates as well. The original row is also given in the original AR row, right? So it took us only 2 seconds to generate these duplicates. If you are doing that, you can do this writing certain codes in Excel, but here it took only 2 seconds to do that, to come up with duplicates. Right, so you can check that. Now, once you see this, these might be errors or these might be fraud, who knows? But you have to first think, how come the same invoice number in 2 different days? One on 10th, right? And the other one is, that means, so, sorry, on October 30th, and then you have on November 2nd. How come? Right. So that's called duplicate testing. So these are CAT. IDEA is a very powerful CAT, and it's a quite cost-effective program as well. There are very expensive programs like IDEA, but again, for simple, and it has a lot of features as well. IDEA software. I teach a separate course elsewhere on IDEA software. That's a different thing. But if you want to do for a smaller audit firm, and if you want to do certain audit analytics, I think Active Data is will do a very good job. Okay, right. So did you understand how to do a duplicate test? Yes. Okay, very good. Now let's see whether there are gaps in the invoices. The invoice or the gaps right, 99 there's 99, 100, 101 like. Now to check this, you have to check manually. My goodness, there are how many invoices that are there to check manually whether gaps are there. There are 403 or in fact 402 invoices. But let's now ask Active Data to check whether there are duplicates, whether there are gaps in the data, whether there are gaps in the data, right? So for that, you can use gap to check gaps. I'm going to go to gaps, and then I'm going to ask on what gaps I require. I require an invoice number, right? Invoice number, I need to see gaps. So you can show the missing items only, or show individual missing items. Likewise, it will give that, like whatever. So let me expand this. Some small thing wrong in this program. I think you guys just press OK here. But here it's OK, I believe. And the Excel makes certain things difficult to us. But you can press OK over here, right? Methoding OK OK going on. Okay, right, you can see. In there. Okay, right. The software has a small issue. Okay, here, gaps. So let's ask it to show the gaps. Again, let me go over here. Take a plain name. Right. Gaps. I'm going to use the invoice number and I'm going to say, okay, show missing items only. So I'll say, okay, show the missing items only, the gaps only, right, to make things easy. And maybe I'm going to press this one. Yeah, so it will give 2 items on this. You can see 2 items are missing. And let me ask it to write it into a sheet. So I think that's the second option, which is not visible for me, but again, it shows that. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, you can see these are the 2 gaps from here. So you can see these invoices are missing in the sequence. 832,218. You go to here and 832,218. Maybe 832,217 is there, but not 218. So there's a gap. So immediately the software identified. Then you can see another one is there, 832,306. 832,306. Yeah. So actually there was a duplicate that it was indicated earlier. So seems there's an error. 306 is not there. There are 2 305s, which we understood earlier, right? And you can see that duplicates were there. Right. 305. Yeah. It was identified earlier. So this is how it will create, it will identify, it will tell you what are the duplicates, right? As well as what are the gaps. Now in a sales, for purchase invoice, it's not applicable, but for a sales invoice, it has to go in a consecutive order. Anugami, right? Unconnected, right? It has to follow a consecutive order, right? So that's how you check gaps. Is that clear? Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now we shall do an age analysis, a custom age analysis. What's a custom age analysis? What you do is under age analysis, you take the customer's birth certificates, right, and see how they are old. No, you are not going to ask the customer's birth certificates unless you are interested in marrying your customers, right, or something else. But on this case, you are not going to take the customer's birth certificates, but you are going to see the sales invoice date. And based on the sales invoice date, you can do an aging. Now, let's say the ending period, let's assume, right, for an example. Let's go and see in that file what was the date taken for the aging. Yeah, let's say the year end is 31st December 2030. And for this period, shall we do an aging, custom aging? So please take down. The first test that you did was duplicate testing. The second one test that you did was gap testing. And now you can take down custom aging, right? And by doing a custom aging, you can see long outstanding balances as well as you can make provisions. You can understand what's the provision that you have to make for bad and doubtful debts, right? So let's see how to do that. So for this again, now you can use the age analysis. Can you see that there is something called age? You can go to age. And then it has chosen due date, but let's say we choose the invoice date, right? And it gives the aging categories, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So 0 to 30 days, right? 0 to 30 days. And it has taken the age as of, let's say, December 31st. like 31st, 2030. Let's use December 31st, 2030. Up to this date to do a custom aging based on the invoice date, right? And then the amount column, it asks where's the amount column. It's in the beginning, so it's the amount, is the invoice amount. So please choose the invoice amount. And that's it. Okay. Add the aging details columns to the original sheet. No, let's ask it to do it. So let's keep these dates. If you want, you can change the dates, 60 days, 2 months, 3 months. Likewise, you can see the how many months it was outstanding. And you can press now finished. Here, you can see a nice custom aging is created within seconds. You can see here. And you can even, there's a drill down thing as well. Now, if you want to see now less than 30 days, right, from 31st December 2030, right, less than 30 days, there are 7 invoices. Now, if you want to check that, you can go and click on here. So it will give what are the 7 invoices, and you can check them, right? Then what we are not interested in that, we are interested in particularly that there are long outstanding balances. So you have to check the credit period, right? Usually it's 2 months or 3 months, right? Usually it's 2 months credit period, but then you can see there are things that are exceeding that, right? And you might need to make a provision. You can do a doubtful debt provision, and you can see how much the provision, and you can calculate, and you can then do an independent calculation and check that with the client. But let's say I'm interested in this 180 days, my God, right? So yes, this particular, right, 11.95, not a big amount, but again, that was outstanding for a long period, right? A long period, right? Better to, because you can see, and then there's 3 invoices even more than 180 days. Yeah, there's a huge balance invoice as well, $2,057. The invoice date is this 6/30. It's more than 180 days. So likewise, as auditors, you can quickly do that kind of age analysis, and you can see by invoice dates. So you can see majority are less than 60 days, as it should be, right? Likewise, it gives the age. So see, now if you are going to create this in Excel and write formula for this, in fact, it will take 1 month, right? Okay. So this is how you could perform the age analysis, customer age analysis, right? This is the third analysis I taught you. So at the exam, you might be asked, okay, to use simple examples and to tell how you can use a CAT to do these analysis, right? These I'm teaching you only very simple ones, but you can do a lot of advanced analytics, right? Now, again, let's go to the AR, sheet. And you can see, as I told you, these are open invoices. These are open invoices. The same customer is repeating, right? For different customers, right? If I sort this, you don't need to do that. I'm just going to show you that. So if I'm going to select the entire data set, and if I'm going to say sort data, and if I go to sort, and if I sort it by, so it says by data, okay, customer number. Okay, so anything that looks like the customer numbers are not numbers. So I say, okay. So you can see the same customer. Now, the first one is only one. So actually, to tell the balance for this customer, so these are 3 numbers, you have to take the total. And that will be the accounts receivable balance, right, for this person. What's the name of this person? The name is not given, right? So the customer number is given 175,663. So you take the total. 107. What's the total? Total is something 7, right? Something. So 790 something. Right. Okay. So now we can now here therefore these are open invoices, outstanding invoices. It's not the accounts receivable balances. Now, if you ask to create an account receivable trial balance based on this data, what you need to do? By customer number, you have to summarize the balances. You have to add the balances. Right? So I'll now teach you how to create an accounts receivable trial balance. So please take down creating the accounts receivable TB trial balance. That means the account receivable list. Right? Now what you have to do is you have to buy the customer, you have to take the total. Customer no total again. How to do that? Very simple. You go to active data. Now you'll use a command called summarization. Yeah. Let's see. Summarize. There's a command called summarize. And click summarize. Then you ask, okay, summarized by what? So you can say group by, let's say customer number. Then what to summarize? The amount. Take the total of the amount. Right? So summarize by the customer numbers and take them out. Right? I'm going to press finished. So now it will create a brand new listing by taking the total. This is the customer number. Can you remember? Right? There were three. Now it says how many invoices were there. And if you want, you can go and just click that and it will tell what are the invoices as well. Earlier we checked these. These are 3 invoices. And now what it has done is it has total those and it has created the customer trial balance, accounts receivable trial balance. And you can see now these are not the invoices by our customer numbers. So how many customers are there? There are about 53 customers. So they are now totals are there. Now in the AR original file, what's there is the outstanding invoices. But now we have the customer trial balance. So this is how you could create or execute the summary command and create a customer trial balance. Is that clear? Clear
Yes,
the
sir.
very
Yes.
good. Very good. Very good. It's not difficult. You can see now audit data and text is very, very interesting. You can identify a lot of things. Now let's see in this organization, let's say for an example, right? Maybe $5,000 is the, let's say, the credit limit, right? $5,000 is the credit limit. Now, as the auditor, you might need to know who has exceeded the credit limit, right? Let's say for an example, right? Now, this is where I'm going to check exceptions. So therefore, you can take down a small topic, checking exceptions. And there you can take down customers who have exceeded the credit limit. Customers who have exceeded the credit limit. So how to do that? Of course, you can do that in Excel, but again, here in active data, you have this query sheet command. Query sheet command is a very nice command. You can do any type of query, right? So it's like SQL, right? Search. You can do any kind of querying on the data. Now, in this case, I want to know who are the customers, the customer list, who have exceeded 5,000 credit limit. Let's say the general credit limit is 5,000. So how to do? It's very simple. You go to query sheet, and then you can say query by formula. And then you can say what you are going to do. Okay, you can say, okay, you can say customer total, and you can click on customer total. It goes, okay, above, let's say 5,000. And of course, it's a very basic thing, but you can have very complex things. So any kind of computation could be there. So what I did was I clicked customer total. So that's the amount total came out here. And what I want to know is customers who have exceeded $5,000. Right. So that's what I want to know. Okay. So I want a listing the customers who have exceeded $5,000. So I'm going to press finished. So then you can see a nice listing comes for the auditor. So these are the customers who have exceeded $5,000. And now to do this, you cannot do that using the original open invoice file. You should have used the summarization command. First prepare the accounts receivable trial balance, and then you should have applied this query sheet command. In query sheet command, I just showed you how to see an exception, but there are several other things that you can check. It's again a very powerful search, and you can give different criteria. Okay. So that's another command that you can execute. That's called the query sheet command. Okay. Clear? Any questions? So are you fascinated by active data? Active data again, your mother's account, right?
Yes, sir.
So in auditing, you can use that. And these not that expensive for an organization. And it's a nice tool to have. But again, for an individual, it might be a bit expensive. But what's the price of this software? Check that later on, right? Okay. Then again, I'm going to go to the original AR file. That's the open invoice file, which are the outstanding invoices are there, right? And now I want to take the top 10 invoices as well as the bottom 10 invoices maybe, or the top 10 customers. Now, top 10 customers, that's a different story. Here I want to take the top 10 invoices. If you want to take the top 10 customers, then you have to go to the summary command where you have this sheet, query from summary. No, not that one. Yeah, summary of AR. Yeah, summary of AR. So these are the 53 customers. So yeah, let's do that. Now I want to see, well, of course you can sort it and get it very easily, but again, you can take the top 10 customers. If you want to take the top 10 invoices, you can go to AR and take the top 10 invoices. So let's take the top 10 invoices. You go to AR and say that you want to have the top 10 invoices as well as bottom 10 invoices. How to do that? So top 10 and bottom 10 will give you the highest values as well as the lowest values in your data set. Right? Here for that, you can use the top bottom items. Top bottom items. Right? Top bottom items. So you go to top bottom items. And of course, let's use here the amount. Right? Number of items, let's say I want top 10 invoices. Top 10 invoices. Right? So here by default, it's top items and you can press finished. So it will give you the top 10 items. So these are the largest items, top 10 invoices. So top 10. So auditors might concentrate on high value items. So they might go for these top 10. Or on the other hand, you can take the bottom 10 as well. Again, go to accounts receivable, be in the accounts receivable, and you can go here what? You can go to bottom. Again, press the same thing. And now instead of top 10, you can take the bottom 10. You choose here bottom and keep the amount as it is based on the amount you are choosing, right? And you can press finished. Now comes the bottom 10. These are the smallest values. The smallest values, smallest value invoices. So this is what we call top and bottom analysis, right? Top bottom analysis is this. Is that clear, Buddha?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So likewise, we have, this is only part that I'm showing, but you can have numerous other analysis. Right? After the break, I will teach you RSF test as well. Relative size factor test. What do you mean by that? You will see by your own eyes. Right? Likewise, we have different kind of testing. Like here under digital analysis, some of those are there. And particularly, I'll teach you the Benford's law analysis, and I'll teach you what's that. We'll see different kinds of analysis, right? And see what are those. Okay, so shall we take a break? Now it's 7:55. 20-minute break. At 8:15, we'll meet. Right, at 8:15, we'll meet and we'll continue our discussion. On Benford's law analysis, I think after that, I'll teach you Benford's law analysis. Benford's law analysis. What's that? We'll discuss. Then by looking at some key statistics, how to make, you can do a statistical analysis as well as digital analysis and how to derive samples. Right now, if you have a listing, how to derive a sample. Right. Likewise, there are different other, here also there are several commands that you can use, particularly query sheet command is a very strong command and a very useful command as well. So let's check what's this Benford's law analysis. And also let me teach you what's this RSF test analysis, right? And you could then understand what are these things and you'd be able to identify what are the errors, faults that might have taken place. Okay. Right. So with that, then we'll take a small break and we'll meet at 8:15. So have your lunch, dinner, or breakfast, maybe. Right. Some people it might be the breakfast, for some people it might be the lunch. Some people might be dinner. Okay. So we'll meet at 8:15 and continue our discussion on audit data analytics. And afterwards, I'm going to cover the past paper questions. Right? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Buddha. We'll meet at 8:15. Students, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now what we shall do is we shall again continue our active data, right? How to do certain other kind of analysis. Okay. Now, any questions? Do you have any questions? Questions, queries? Now I am taking a single file and I am teaching you several kind of audit data analytics, right? And we can do much more. But now let me again ask you to perform or teach you certain other kind of analysis as well in active data. Now let's say you need a sample. You need a sample. Now let's say there are 400 odd invoices. In fact, you have 402 invoices. Now let's say you want a sample to be selected. Total random sample out of this. How you can do that? For that, you can use the sample command. Right? You can see here there's sample. So you can select sample. And then you can tell how many samples you require. You can ask it to even calculate the sample size that's required. But let's say you need a sample of 15 items. Or 15 items. So let's say you need a random sample. And you can leave it, the other things as it is, right? And you can press finish. So yes, you got 15 random samples. As auditors, now you can check that. This is a simple random sampling, and you can easily, right, derive your sample for checking, right? So that's simple random sample. Okay. Then let's also see another kind of analysis that you can perform, where you can do certain statistics. You can compute certain statistics, general statistics, to see whether things are in order, whether things are expected. Now my question to you is, now these are sales kind of accounts receivables. That means open invoices, outstanding invoices. Can these invoices be negative usually? Can the amount be negative? Can the amount be negative? Can the amount be negative?
No, sir.
No, usually no, unless the customer has paid more than what's expected. Then it becomes negative, it becomes a payable, but usually not. So we can check that. We can check whether there are negative balances. So that's another test that you can perform. So how to do that? It's very easy. You'll go to statistics here, statistics, and then let's perform those things on the amount, right? And you can even select what statistics you require, but usually it will give a set of statistics, and you can press finished. Then it gives a rich set of statistics. Says, okay, what's the net value of the total? Right, the net value of the total accounts receivable, the open invoices, which is the account receivable as well, 489,930. Then the positives are also same. There is no negatives. There are no negatives, so that's a good clear indication that there are no negative balances. On the other hand, the mean is 1,218 and the median is 934. That shows that this data has outliers, right? That this data has outliers because the mean is 1,218 while the median is 934. That's the mode value calculated as well. Then the standard deviation is given. And the minimum is 11.95 and the maximum value is $7,491. That's a problem. And zero value items, no items. Then positive items 402, there are no negative items. That's good. So likewise, by looking at these general statistics, you'll be able to get an idea, right? You'll be able to get an idea whether there are negative balances, whether there are unexpectedly high balances, low balances. Likewise, you can get an idea. And what's the average value? So that's another way that you can do that. Okay. So in this manner, you can check a lot of things. Now, let me teach you, before I go to Benford's law, which I will display a small video as well. Now, let me teach you how you could check whether there was proper segregation of duties, right? Whether there was proper segregation of duties. Now, say for an example, let's say there's the AR clerk. AR clerk is HMK. And then there's the cash receipt clerk FK, right? And there's of course the other clerks as then there's a GL clerk. GL clerk is a like MB and likewise there. But these different transactions you can see we have segregation of duties. Has the same clerk done HMK has executed the cash receipts? No. Whether the GL recording is done by the same one? No, it's MB. So that's called segregation of duties. So shall we check whether there's segregation of duties? Can someone suggest how we can see? How can we check whether there's segregation of duties? We can check in this manner, right? We can go here to query sheet and query by formula. And then we can say AR, whether there's AR clerk is equal to cash receipt. And that equals to GL. So this cannot happen, right? Where AR clerk is, so we'll ask to extract records where these three were the same. First, let's take these three, right? Whether we'll see whether these transactions, right, were the GL recording as well as the cash certain kind of sanction as well as the GL recording was done by the same person. Right, and you can press finished. There are no records. That's very good. No records. Now what we shall do is we shall now check the next one. Can you go to the formula? And now what you shall do is you will see the AR clerk and the accounts receivable clerk were the same. You are going to take the GA clerk out. Now you're going to see whether the AR clerk is same as the cash receipt clerk. It's finished. Oh, here you can see the AR clerk for this particular invoice is HMK and the cash receipt class is also HMK. Is it a good sign? Is it a good sign? ඒක හොඳ sign එකක්.
No, sir.
No, indeed it's not. There's no proper segregation of duties. There's no proper segregation of duties. So therefore, that's a problem that we have to check. Now let's check also the other combination, whether AR clerk and the GL clerk were the same. So let's go here again, go to query. Let's say AR clerk was equal to GL clerk. GL accounting clerk. Let's say finished. There also we see what? AR clerk is HMK, and the GL clerk is also what? HM. That's not good, isn't it? That's not good. Okay. Now what's the remaining combination we need to check? Whether the cash receipt clerk was the same as the GL clerk. So let's go here. And let's go to query. Query by window. So let's say cash receipt clerk equals GL. So this is where you could check. No, there are no records. Okay, so you identified that there were certain lapses, right? In terms of AR clerk being equal to cash receipt clerk. So the auditor will have to check why. Right? The auditor will have to check why. That cannot usually happen. Okay, that cannot usually happen. So segregation of duties requires these people to be different. Right? Okay. Now, can you tell me, I want to check now. Okay, I earlier told you how to check whether the customers has exceeded the credit limit. Now, let's say I want to check whether the customer, each invoice has exceeded the credit limit. Each invoice has exceeded the credit limit. How to check that? Can someone look at the data and tell me? How can you see whether each invoice has exceeded the credit limit? How can we check that? The answer is very clear. It's there on the screen.
So we can give a filter.
Yes, you can do that. Very good. Again, you can run a query sheet. You can see the credit limit is given and the amount is given. So you can see whether how many transactions are there that the amount is above the credit limit. Right? The amount has to be below the credit limit, not above. So for that, you can run what? A query sheet. So we'll run this one. Okay. So here you have to take the amount. If it is more than sign, the credit limit per transaction, they are given transaction that invoice wise credit limits are given. So you can check this. Shall we see? Oh, here. Now for these credit limits is 2000, but the amount is 2087. Right? So this person, so this invoice, it was 1000. And in fact, the amount, the credit limit is 1000, but the amount is 4102. We need to check whether it's related party transactions. Right? It's far exceeded than the given credit limit. How come it happened? And you can see, now say for an example, okay. So that's where you took the credit limit. You had exceeded the credit limit than the given threshold. That's another test that you can perform. Okay, then let's go to AR again. Again, they are, and let's see whether the transactions are authorized or not. Right? If it is authorized, then it's yes. If it is no, it's say no. So I need a list of transactions which were not authorized. Again, in Excel, you can do that. But again, how to do that in ActiveDev? I want transactions, invoices that were not authorized. How can I take it?
Through query sheets.
Sorry, Sarabhuta?
Through the query sheets, there we can go and give the formula as authorized no.
Very good, excellent. Right, let's do that. That's the answer. You go to query sheet by formula. And now you would say authorized, right? Authorized equals what? Now be careful, I'll do an error and I'll show you. You say equals no. Now see what happens, right? You put equals and you put no. See what happens, it will tell there's an error. Just press finish. They say it's no. What went wrong? Can someone tell me what went wrong? Now no here is what? Again it goes. No here should have been given as what? Shall I give it within inverted commas? Let's check that. So therefore, when it's text, it's a string, right? Make sure you give that in inverted commas. Let me show you again. So what I did was I went to authorized, right? Then I put equal sign and I wrote no in inverted comma because it's a text value, not a number. Earlier all were numbers, right? Then I pressed finish. So you have to stay in the correct, so let's say use the same thing because I had chosen the wrong sheet, right? So again, it came the same thing. That's fine, but again, right? So therefore, please make sure that based on the text, whether it is a text search, then you have to give it properly as right within inverted commas. Is that clear? Right. Okay. Now let me teach you what's this Benford's analysis. Right. It's called a digital analysis. And what's a Benford's analysis? So for that, I'll show you a video. So give me a moment. What's this Benford's analysis? It's a very important analysis. It's called digital analysis, and I'll show you how to do that in active data. But first of all, let me take a video on Benford's analysis. Okay.
Collaboration is key for team success. With ClickUp,
Okay, let me share the screen. It's on. And let's now try to understand what do you mean by Benford's analysis? How to detect fraud using Benford's law. So what's Benford's law? And I'll teach you how to do that.
Hi, welcome to another New Jersey Forensic Accountant discussion. Today's discussion is going to be very interesting because it's one of the techniques we use in the vast majority of.
Can you hear that, Pudha? Is it audible?
Yes, sir, we can do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Pudha, that's great. Now let's see what this gentleman, he shows how to do that in Excel. But again, you will understand what's Benford's analysis. It's a very important law, right? It's again about normality of distribution of numbers, right? Numbers could range from 0 to 9, and we expect a normal distribution. But when you try to manipulate data, which I'll give you an example, separate example as well, you will see that this analysis will indicate that. Okay, let's see what he tells.
Our forensic accounting analysis. It's called Benford's Law. And I've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, how do you actually, they want me to go into some of the techniques we actually use. So I'm going to discuss this Benford's Law. Now, as a forensic accountant, I have many ways and techniques to spot fraud. One of the ways we detect fraud is especially when analyzing tax returns, general ledgers, and other items that contain a large amount of numerical data. Now, remember, we get into a case, a lot of times, people will give us a huge amount of information, millions or hundreds of millions of pieces of data, and we have to find out if it's random or is there fraud? Is it manipulated in some way? And the first thing we always do is we apply Benford's law. And what the law basically states is that any random number will have a specific result as to which digit appears in each data set. And the way it does this is through what's called a base 10 logarithm. And it's very, very accurate. And when you apply this to a large amount of numbers, you should get something that looks like this bar chart right here. Okay? You can see here that this is 30, 18, 12, and you can see how the bar chart kind of slants down. And if you do this analysis,
so if you run this information on data and you don't get something that looks like this, there's a high probability that it is manipulated in some way. It's not a natural occurrence. For example, when you take Benford's law, okay, and you apply it to, for example, the distance of the planets from the sun, okay, to see if it's manipulated, if someone put the planets there, or if it's random, you'll get a histogram that will look just like this, okay? Or if you plot the distance of the stars from the Earth, you'll get something like this. Or if you take all the phone numbers in the phone book, you'll get the same histogram. So the reason for this is that what it simply does is it takes the first number that appears in a data set, and we analyze this data set and we spot anomalies that tip us off that there's a high probability that the numbers have been manipulated. From there, we can perform a forensic accounting. Once I know that there's problems with the data we have, we can then dig down and find out what happened. For example, here's what it should look like, Benford's law, based on Benford's law. But now you look at these here, okay, revenue per PSE firms, population, motor vehicle theft cases, they're not really in line. So what that's telling me is this data is probably manipulated in some way, okay? Something's wrong with the population count. Something's wrong with the number of motor vehicle theft cases. Okay, maybe some of these aren't thefts. So, I mean, the one that's pretty close is population, right? Almost, so maybe there's a problem up here, something going on. But anyway, we apply this, and you can look at the data, and it's pretty easy to see that there's an issue there. Now, the steps in using Benford law, okay? Now, let me just say, it's very difficult to understand Benford's law. It's very complex, the logarithm explaining all that can take, days, if not weeks to understand. But let me just give you an example. I'll go through an example because it's the easy way to understand. And when I'm making this video, it's when COVID-19 is pretty prevalent. It's the end of the summer, and a lot of cases have been reported to CDC. Now, some people are saying that the cases are overreported. Hospitals are overreporting cases, that it's really the deaths are overreported. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the CDC website, and I'm going to apply Benford's law to the data. And I'm going to go through and show you how we actually do it in real life. Now, here is the website for, okay, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, and here they're talking about the deaths, USA. I mean, this disease is horrible. But total cases, new cases, the USA deaths over 200,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download, okay, the cases the last 7 days by territory. I'm going to download this data here. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, here's what I get when I download this from the CDC website. Okay, I'm going to fix up this data so that we can utilize it. Now, so you can see here the total cases, confirmed, probable cases, etc. Okay, it goes through all this good data here. And let's say someone hired my firm to do a fraud analysis. The first thing I would do was I would utilize Benford's law, okay? What I would do is basically get rid of all this data here and just focus on the total cases in the state. Now, we've already done this, so we would take this data, put it in an Excel sheet. So Excel has some decent formula capabilities. And what it would look like once we took the data, it would look like this. Okay. You can see here that we have the states, the number of reported cases, and then what we do is we utilize this formula, which is left B2. What it does is it goes to here and takes the first digit and puts it in this column. Okay. And it for all the states and some of the territories of the United States. And then what we do is we want numbers 1 through 9, which are the digits, and Benford's law states that a certain number of these numbers here should start with a 1, a certain number should start with 2, a certain number should start with 3. Then I go in this other formula, it's count ifs. What it does is it takes all the numbers that start with 1 and puts them, there's 23. All the numbers that start with 2, there's 8. And all the numbers that start with 9 is 2. Okay, so it went through all these columns. There's a total of 56 here. Okay, and I verified that because some of these have zeros. And, there's 56 basically states and territories in this database that we downloaded. And then we do a calculation. And this says 41% of the numbers here start with 1, 14 start with 2, and 3. So now we have the percentages, and then we just do this histogram here. And you can see this does not look like, a typical Benford's law would predict. Okay, the logarithms are way out of whack. So this is telling me here, just looking at this data, that this is not legitimate data. Okay, at this point, if we were doing this case, I would tell my clients, say, listen, the data we're looking at is definitely manipulated. Okay, now what we need to do is then we'd go in and look at the various hospitals, see how they're reporting these cases, where are they coming from, how reliable the data is. We test it and we actually back up. But this is telling me if I had to go to court, this is the first thing I would show, is that they're saying that the data is manipulated, okay? Because we know what it should look like, right? What should it look like? It should look like this. It doesn't, okay? It looks like this. So anyway, so we have some situations here. Benford's law is great. I recommend it if you get into large databases. We have to quickly find out if it's something you want to look into. So listen, guys, we went through this quick. If you have any questions, just leave it below. And if you'd like this video, please join my YouTube channel. It helps a lot with, getting the recognition and name out there for this kind of stuff that we hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay, students, did you understand? Give me a moment. Okay, students, did you understand what's Benford's law? What it says is the numbers would follow a certain pattern. On the other hand, if you manipulate that, the Benford's law will indicate that it's manipulated. Although he used a Excel sheet, it was not easy to. Now, if you're going to do that, it won't be easy. So let me show you now how we can use active data to do a Benford's law analysis. Okay. Right. So now let me tell you Benford's analysis in very simple language. So let's again go to AR table. Right. So let me open a new So I'll give you another example that you will understand very well. Okay. Let's say that, for an example, right? There is a, now for certain, let's say, employees, some organizations give a corporate credit card, right? And let's say the credit card limit, now they would give a credit card limit per day, or maybe per month, I don't know. Maybe they have said USD 2000, right? So Mr. A is given a corporate credit card where the credit card limit is $2,000 per maybe day or a week, whatever. So that means the person could only spend $2,000 per day, right? But let's say this person now wants to spend, now this person wants to buy an item which is $10,000. Right? For his own purpose, right? An expensive item. He's given only $2,000, but he wants to buy something 10,000. How can he buy that? But per transaction, per day, let's say it's $2,000. Let's say for an example, per transaction, right? Now, if he wants to buy this, what he could do? Now, the per transaction limit is 2,000, not let's say per day, right? Let's say per transaction. Okay, let's define it like this. Per transaction, the maximum limit is 2,000. Now, let's say he wants to buy something which is very expensive, $10,000. Can he buy that? Can he buy that?
He can't.
He can't. But he can. How? What he's going to do is he's going to do a small trick. He's going to pay 1,999, 1,999, 1,999, and then 1,999. What's the total? Yeah. Then another $5 he has to pay. Right? How about that? Because per transaction, not per day, right? Per transaction, it was $2,000. Right? Now what he did was, he wanted to purchase this, so he's doing how many payments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 payments to buy this item. So he's doing what? He's circumventing an internal control, right? But as soon as he does this, what happens to the 9 count? Now this is going to go to an expense database, right, of this credit card users of this particular company, and it's going to go to a database. What will happen to the 9 count? 9 count it will be extraordinarily high than normal, right? Because usually it cannot have this amount of 9s. So that's what Benford's law tracks. It sees whether certain numbers have very high amounts than expected. Here you can see, right, the 9 count went unexpectedly high. And if you perform Benford's analysis on this employee, it will indicate that something is wrong. So that's what Benford's law does. It sees whether certain numbers are abnormally high than expected. Okay, is that clear? So now let's see how to perform a Benford's analysis. But here I don't think there will be, a lot of issues because this is not a data set that has issues. But let me show you how to do a Benford's analysis using active data. And draw that diagram that gentleman drew, right, using active data. You can draw it using Excel, but again, using active data will help you to do it more efficiently. So let's see how to do it. You'll go to data, you'll go to active data, and then you can go to digital analysis. Digital analysis. So in digital analysis, you have this Benford's analysis. And you can see under that what it comes is digital analysis using Benford's law. So first thing what you can do is now you can see in task, okay, in which column you need to do the Benford's analysis. Let's say it's for the amount column. And then you can take the first 2 digits test. The first digit test, you are going to take the first digit. So it was, right, if it is 9,999, and if the limit was 10,000, then it would have been 9,000, the 9 itself. Then you can take the second digit test of the number, and you can check that. The first 2 digit test, the first 3 digit test. Likewise, you can check about the last 2 digits. It's basically decimals. So it will try to check that, right? Okay, shall we try to see by performing now that 99 count, particularly at the end, right? It sends whether the 99 count is quite high. Or we can check the first 2 digits as well. First digit test, second digit test. We shall check the first 2 digits, whether it's abnormally high or than expected, whether it's manipulated. First 2 digits, right? So you just select this first 2 digits, then we do the first 3 digit test. So it will check the first 3 digits and see whether it's abnormally high or not. So let's run first the first 2 digits. Once they're finished. See, immediately it says, and it gives the Benford's. So it says, okay, the first 2 digits. And here you can see, this is the diagram that you are searching for. Now, here you can see, right, this line shows the Benford's proportion. Then the real proportion is given in blue color. You can see in certain instances, it's very, very high than the Benford's reduction. So if I were you, I would have just checked this. A 16 count. 16 count is abnormally high. I would have just checked this. Why is this abnormally high? In fact, it's 15. Let's go to 16. Here you can see the 16 count is abnormally high. So see, I'll just check whether it's a kind of a boundary, right? It's 1999, something is wrong. Likewise, you could check that. You can check those transactions whether something is wrong. So because here it indicates it's extremely high, right? So this is the 16. So Benford's proportion and the difference it gives that. So by looking at this diagram over here, right, for the first 3 digit test, it gives a nice division. Let's go back again to the original AR table. And again, let's do a digital analysis for the first 3 digits. First 3 digits. Earlier we took the first 2 digits and let's perform and see whether there are certain abnormally high first 3 digits. Finished. Again, it shows here. This is extremely high. What's that? Number 160. So you can go see 160. So it doesn't show that, but again, here it shows that it's very, very high. So you might need to check those. Hidden rows are there, of course. So that's what has happened. 160. So let's unhide it. Okay, let's go to now 160. 16. So you go and see this 100 there. So somehow seems it's a threshold and someone might try to do certain things. Right? We might need to see why it's abnormally high. So that's how you could apply Benford's law. And so I unpack that. And so we can go and see here. In this diagram, it shows if something is abnormally high, it will indicate that. So the gentleman earlier, when he explained that how to do it using, Excel. But here you can see in active data, this takes you quite very quickly. It will show you the things. So this is called Benford's law analysis. Is that clear? Clear the?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are all put audit data. At the exam, you might be asked, of course, to with examples explain, right? In the final exam, of course, what are these analyses and how you could apply them. Okay. Now let me, although this particular analysis is not there in active data, but then there's another analysis that is going to be really important, right? So that's called the RSF test. So you can take down that RSF test. So let me demonstrate that as well. But again, before that, let's take it down. RSF test. And I'll tell how to conduct an RSF test and what's an RSF test itself. So this is called RSF test. RSF stands for relative size factor test. Right? Relative size factor test. So how do you calculate the relative size factor? Right? Right? It's very simple. Right? So let me show you how to calculate that. So relative size factor. Let me first. Okay, let me teach you that through a video as well. First, I'll show you a video. So let's stop share and go and tell you what's relative size factor. So they take the highest value, then the next highest value, and in a data set, and then I'll take an example and teach you what's there. Okay. So let's go there. Let's go to here and say, what's this relative size factor test? Okay, relative size factor test.
Welcome to this video presented by Automation Services, the USA distributor of IDEA data analysis software. Welcome to this video presented by Automation Center.
Once everything's perfectly organized,
You
I'll start working on my thesis.
Size factor. That is, we can go to chapter 7. We have an introduction all about identifying outliers. We have the formula, and indeed we have a table of results on page 184.
Okay. Now let me show you what's this relative size factor test.
We have the formula. It's all about
Right. With a case study. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, you can see.
Okay, good. Now, up to now, before we go to relative size factor test, which he explains, then I'll show you how to do that. Simply, I'll take a simple example as I did for Benford's law as well. So now, up to now, I discuss a series of analysis, right? That series of caps. I started with what? Duplicates, then gaps. Likewise, several analyses I discussed, right? For your exam, yes, you might need, I'll be giving sometimes, okay, yes, when I, now just after this, I'll teach you, I will explain the rest of the, past paper, then you will see. But before that, what you can see is that this is what we test, right? This is how we test it. You would be asked, okay, you'll be given a list of these analyses and take your own examples and to explain. So now let's see what's this relative size factor test. Okay.
It's all about the relative size factor. That is, we can go to chapter 7. We have an introduction all about identifying outliers. We have the formula, and indeed we have a table of results on page 184. We're going to try and do the same with our data. Use Excel, calculate the relative size factor for each vendor using equation 7.1. This is our data, and what I'm going to do is delete everything that I don't need. And that means all that is gone. I'm going to do File, Save As, and we'll save it as Somerville RSF. We'll do a save here.
Okay, so he skipped, right? What's relative size factor test? So here you can see relative size factor is how you calculate the largest record on the data set, right? Largest record in the subset. Now, if you take one customer, what's the largest sale? Then what you do is you take the second largest scale of the same customer and you divide it. That's called a relative size factor, right? Now let's see why he does that. And maybe I will teach you much better, right? In a very short way, right? Okay, so let me take my own example, right? So let's say that husband, right, gave his credit card to his wife, has given his credit card to his wife, right? Just an example. So let's calculate the RSF factor. Let's say this is January, right? January, let's say there were 3 times this wife went to purchase groceries. Right? So something should not be given to wives particularly, but this husband has given the credit card. Okay. So wife did 3 transactions, let's say 5,500, right? Groceries, then 6,000 worth of groceries. Then let's say 5,700 worth of groceries. So month of January went like that. Then month of February. Right. 4 transactions occurred. 4 times she made purchases. Right. Okay, again 6,000, or let's say 6,700, and then 5,500 and 3,300 and let's say 7,000. Right. Then came March. Right. She did 3 transactions on 3 days. 3 days. So yes, again groceries 5,500. Then she made a huge purchase. Let's say 25,000. Again, normal 6,000. Right. Likewise, it was going. Now let's try to calculate the RSA factor for each month. RSA, relative size factor. How do you compute that? You take the largest value in the subset. Here, what's the largest value? Out of these transactions, what's the largest value?
6,000.
6,000. And you divide it by the next largest value. What's that?
5,700.
5,700. So here the RSA factor is 1.05. Then let's go to next month. The next subset is this. Right? Shall we calculate the RSA value? Okay. What you do? You take the highest value. What's the highest value?
7,000.
7,000. Okay. Then you take the next highest value. The second largest value. Sorry. Got it. Divided by. What's the next largest value? Second highest value.
6,700.
700. So again, you can see the RSA factor is this. Likewise, this husband could see for months and months. Now I just took 3 months for the demonstration. Then here, what's the RSA value? You take the highest value. And what's the next highest value? Usually, you expect the RSF value 1. If it is exceeding 1, that shows something is wrong. Because usually customers would do purchasing, or you do transactions with a vendor, right? Or a customer in a usual pattern. So that's why the RSF value was around 1, because these are all around 5,000, 6,000. But here you can see there's an unusually high transaction. Then what happens is the RSF value shoots up. The RSF value shoots up. And there then you can see the month of March, the husband needs to look at why the RSF factor has gone up. Maybe a genuine purchase, maybe 25,000 for what? Maybe buying chocolates, expensive ones maybe, right? So likewise, you would need to see why this particular value the RSF value goes up. Right? Unfortunately, in active data, there is no RSF test. But I think you got the point, right? So just now, customer-wise, now if I'm going to do an RSF test for this particular data set, what I'm going to do is, right? So I'll be doing customer-wise. So customer-wise, I will sort it like this. Then for this person, the first customer, there's only one transaction, so the RSF value will be 1, right? But for the second customer, you can see if you are going to calculate the RSF value, what will be the RSF value? 4,165 divided by 2,742. Likewise, for each customer, you can calculate the RSF value and see whether certain customers have an RSF value above 1, above 2, above 3. Okay. So I tried to do that because now when in active data, although I gave you the theory, now it's a huge calculation. Now you have to manually do that. No, we can automate that. And I even tried to write a small Python code. I asked ChatGPT to write it, right? So in active data, it's not there. So I asked it to write a Python code over here. So let me show you my Python code. Although it not worked as expected, so I told okay. I told it to write a small Python code. How did I give the command? It's like this. I say, even I gave the file location. In my hard drive, I give the file location, it's here. And my file's name, I give that. Then I tell, okay, write the Python code. Then it will exactly write the Python code for that. But here I did not get the desired answer, unfortunately. It calculates something, right? So yeah, I have got something like here, aggregate results, but I did not get it as the desired one. It has just given certain values like this, but it's not the RSF value, right? So I might even ask it to do a small change, right? You need to calculate the RSF value by divided largest amount of a customer by the next largest value. Okay, so I just told it, and I will then, if it works, I'll give you the code as well, the Python. So you have to just run the Python code. And now it's up to something. It seems, see, it's running the Python, it's writing the Python code as I want to. And it's compiling the output file in the aggregate file. Okay. So let me see whether it would run, and then I can share, because in active data, it's not there, unfortunately. And I asked to write the VBA code. It made an awful mistake there. So therefore, I'm not going to ask to write the VBA code. Right. Okay. Right. So let me now run this code and see whether I will get the proper RSF values. Okay. So it did something. Let's see whether the something is acceptable. Yeah. It calculated the RSF value, right, based on each customer. So let's see, clerk, customer invoice number is there. The customer number is there. right? Okay. So the second largest value, it has divided. And you can see the RSF value is being computed. I hope it's correct. Shall we try to see whether it's correct? Now, say for an example, let's take this customer. Right. And let's see the RSF value is correct. So this customer, if it is correct, then I'll share this Python code with you. So 229259. So let's go to that customer. Oh, 229249. Finance, sorry, finance. Yeah, here. So this is the customer. Right. So shall we calculate the RSF value? Can you tell me how to calculate the RSF value for this customer? How to compute for this customer? You take what? 270. 279.
Divided 69.3.
Exactly. 279. So let's do the computation here. Then I'm going to delete that for ease of use, right? So this one divided by this one. 4.201. So let's see now what was calculated. Yeah. You can see the RSF value exactly correct. So I will share the Python code with you. So you can see ChatGPT wrote the code, and if you're going to do that in Excel, there's no formula for that, an easy formula. So in ChatGPT, you just did it within seconds, right? So I'll share the code with you as well, because in original active data, it was not there. Then what you usually do is, right? So let me go to original data and remove that column. So that's not the correct column. Delete it. So you usually saw the RSF value now being calculated. And it had gone through each and every customer, right? Each and every customer. And it had computed the RSF value. So it's a huge calculation, as you can see. It's a huge calculation, right? Then what you can do is you can sort it. You can sort it by, okay, let's go to data and let's go to sort. Sort from the RSF value to highest to the lowest. The largest things are the problem childs. There's RSF value 78. Right, quite very high. So it seems it's repeated again and again. Right, for the same customer, it's repeated. That's not good customer number. So I could say that in the Python code, right? So there's a small error in the Python code, as you can see, right? Repetition is there. I will say, therefore, I'll go to ChatGPT and say, right, I could see the RSF values are repeated. One customer should get one RF value. Also, please add 2 columns on the highest amount, and the next highest amount per customer. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT to amend its code. Okay, let's see whether it works. Usually it works. So this is how you can use ChatGPT to write audit data entries. So you don't need expensive software. You can ask, okay, generate duplicates, and it will generate duplicate, how to check duplicates. Okay, right, let's go back and let's first of all close that aggregate file, and then let's run. Come on. And see whether it works. If it doesn't, don't worry. I'm just trying to see whether it works. Yeah, it ran, but I don't know what would be the outcome. So yes. Now it makes sense. Now it has per customer, because there were 53 customers I think you could remember. Now it has computed, and also it has given what are the largest value, the highest value, and the second highest value per customer. Right? Now earlier we took this particular customer, I think I remember that this customer, right? You can see it has taken 279 and 69.38 and calculated the RSI. Right? So see, within seconds it wrote the code, and this is the exact output I want per customer, right? So, okay, let's have it like this. Per customer, you get the highest amount, highest invoice amount, the next highest invoice amount. So it divides and it calculates RSF value. And for the first one, it's only one transaction, so there is no RSF value. But there's no next highest one, so it has not captured. So what now I could do is I could now sort it. I could sort it. So you don't need expensive software, right? You can write your own commands. And I use ChatGPT, which is free. So I could say RSF value. I take the not the smallest to highest, I take the largest to the smallest. And yes, now I see there's no repetition. Now this customer, 9537Y9, has a massive issue, right? Because you can see the highest amount is 2,500, right? Or something. Then the next highest is just $33. Usually when you purchase things from a vendor, or when certain people buy things from you, there's consistency. The wife went berserk and she bought 25,000, then the RSF value inflated. So likewise, if I were you, if I were the auditor, I would have concentrated on these transactions, these customers, and see, right, because these are all above 1, right? Why it's high? Why it's high? I will check that. Right? Why it's high? I will check that. So this is another test. So I will share the code with you, right? If you are interested. So this is a simple code. You can ask ChatGPT to write it, and you can see how I wrote in human language what I wanted. So I just told, but you have to tell exactly what you want. Then it will do what you want. But you need to tell that very clearly to ChatGPT. So if someone is interested, I'll put that code into. So it's a matter of just you have to run this code in Python, right? So I'll put this code for you as well. So because perfect, right? And you can tailor it. You can put this code and you can tailor it to your own file, right? You can tell your folder. So it will then change the code based on the folder. Here it says, okay, where's the file? Everything is given. So I just change it. I even asked ChatGPT to change the locations and etc. So it did very well. Okay. So that's the power of ChatGPT as well as power of data analytics, right? Okay. So that's the RSF test. Is it clear? relative size factor test. Clear the?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Yes, you can see, and you can write your own commands. Right? It's a matter of just telling ChatGPT. Now you can tell now, since now you can put the same code in ChatGPT and tell that your file is in this location. So give the location in ChatGPT. So then it will rewrite the code based on the location of your file. Right. And so you don't need to change the code. You don't need to touch the code as well. But if you want, you can just change the output file paths. You can see you can put where your output file should be. And let's say now I manually opened. I think you saw that I had to manually open this file, aggregate test. Right? I can tell ChatGPT to open the file. Right, to write the code in Python to open the file after it generates. I'll say also please open. Please ask Python to open generated file. So now it will put that code into the Python code. Right. So yeah, it's right in the board. Now let's see what happens. Because I had to go and manually open that. I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to do that. So let's ask Python to open the file once it's generated. Okay. So the new code, I'm going to take it over there and put it in the PyCharm. PyCharm is a very free, the free version is there. You can use it. Here, no software, you need the pirated ones. And now I put the new code here and let's see whether that RSF file, the output file opens by itself. So let's run it. So I'm running the command. Now see what happens. See, automatically it opened. I did not open it, it opened it because I asked it to do. Right. So likewise, you can tell ChatGPT to write the Python code. Right, to open the file after it generates, because I was lazy to go and open it again. And you can give different kinds of things. And you can even tell sort. Shall we try to tell it to sort? Right, I'll go to ChatGPT and tell, can you also sort based on RSF criticize factor from highest to lowest in the output file. Right. So I'll ask it to sort and give me the result to make myself more easy. So it tries the Python code. I have basic understanding of Python, but again, I don't need to know Python. Okay, so it inserted the sort function as well. So let's now go and take this code. A more advanced code has been written and I'm going to run it through the Python compile. So I'm going to replace this one, the old code with new code, and see whether I'll get a sorted file. The output should be sorted. Oh my goodness. See? So I did not want to sort it as well. So the highest came first. Right. So if you want, you can even ask highlight the RSF code that's above, above 1. I'm not going to do that, but again, Likewise, you can ask ChatGPT to tailor based on your requirements. This is, I am showing only one application of ChatGPT, right? Python code, you go to the internet and just type, how can you automate your office job using Python? It will give several hundreds of ideas. And sometimes it might have taken 1 hour, 2 hours to do certain tasks, but you can do it Python within 1 second or 2 seconds. Okay. Are you inspired? Fascinated?
Yes, sir.
Right. ChatGPT. Yes, indeed. ChatGPT and Python will take you a long, long way, right? Here, do you need to know about coding conventions? Do you need to learn Python? No. Just have a basic idea of what's Python and then install this PyCharm software, which will run these codes very easily. And that's all what you need. You can get things done. You can write your own code. Now in your office, if you are doing certain kind of Excel functions, right? You have to get a report, you have to do certain sorting. Why not you ask Python to do everything, right? And run it, right? To take the input data, run it and compile the report, and it will give you the entire report, right? It might take 2 hours, 3 hours, but now it will be done within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So try to be inspired and apply Python as well. Okay, right. So I think that's quite enough related to audit data analytics, right? So I talked to Benford's law as well as RSF, right? Relative size factor test. And there are several other numerous tests. So let me teach you one more test, and oh, I think that's enough. That's enough. Other day. Because audit data analytics itself is a very fascinating area. But again, but maybe එක test එකක් කියලා දුන්නා නම් හොඳයි කියලා මට හිතෙනවා. I don't know if it's there. Oh, yeah, it's there. Right. So I will teach you about ghost employees. Ghost employees. Who are ghost employees? So this, I think, not a good time to talk about ghosts. So it's around, it's after 9 p.m. Raining, thundering, and not a good time to talk about ghosts. Yeah, but let me teach you that as well. How to track ghost employees. By the way, who are ghost employees? That's a fraud, right? The ghost employees are like this. Actually, these are employees who are not in the employee master file. But what certain managers they do is they pay employees who are not existing, or they pay for employees who have already left or died. Particularly, this thing happens in estates, right? When the estate superintendent or Kankani, right, pays the salaries or the day wages to the workers. Sometimes actually that employee is not there or who had not worked, but then he comes, gets the salary packet or the wage for the day by not working. So ghost employees where you try to pay people who are not in the employee master file, not in the approved employee master file. Because remember, the employee master file is a file that's maintained by higher authorities. You can see employee master file. So employee master files, I'm opening the employee master file, which you downloaded. Now this is maintained by a senior manager, right? And you can see these are the employees' details. The employment number is there. Can you see? There's a column called employee number and that person's salary, commission, other things are there, right? Last pay, gender, etc., is there. So you can see the person's name is there. The first person is Carmen. Likewise, certain other information is there. The date of birth, everything is there. Employee number is there. So this is employee master file, where the fundamental data of existing employees are there. And this file is usually maintained by higher authority, right? Maybe the HR manager. But then you will see that there's another file. What's that? You can see there is another file called payroll file. Payroll file might be maintained by a lower level employee, right? And you can see here the check number is there, right? Which contains the information of the payroll per month, right? So here the employee number is there, the check number, employee number, the gross pay and other information is there. Now, let's say we need to check, right, ghost employees. What we need to check? Ghost employees. That's what I'm going to teach you how to do it. Now, a ghost employee could be detected, right, where the employee, now here the employment number is there in the payroll, but if the number is not there in the master file, then that becomes what? Then that becomes what? Then that payment becomes a payment to a ghost employee. Payroll processed by the low employee, but it's not in the master file, right? In that case, that's a typical case of ghost employee. You have paid someone who is not in the master file. Not in the master file, ghost. That's why we call ghost employee. Ghost is not existing. These are not real ghosts, right? These are employees who are in the payroll, but not in the master file. How to check that? Right, in active data, what you need to do is you could merge these two files based on employee number. The employee number is there. And in the master file also, there's the employee number. I think you can see it. There should be a common field. So what you're going to do is, now this is here, employee number is there. Again, same number. And we can see whether there are employees. You can use a VLOOKUP command as well easily. And you can see, you can look up whether in this particular master file, these employees are there. Or you can use the active data function. So I'm going to close, I'm going to open the payroll file. And I'm going to run the active data. We'll go to active data. And here now what you can do is you can now combine the workbooks. So what I call the sheets, right? And see whether there are ghost employees. Or simply what you can do is you can run a VLOOKUP. You can run a VLOOKUP and see. And if there is someone who is not in the, master file, then that shows something is wrong, right? Okay. Is that clear? So we can go to maybe worksheets. Right. Let's see whether how to combine. Okay. Combine sheets. In fact, we need to combine books. Let's see whether we can combine books. Files. Payroll. So let's see whether that is there. Import. No. Join or merge sheets. Yeah, that's a good thing to see. Compare. Okay, shall we try this? Let's say there are several things. Yeah, this is about the sheets, the same file. I need to compare. I need to combine files. Okay, here. Payroll Excel is there. Let's see. Or we can use VLOOKUP if it fails. Join sheets, split sheets, worksheet. No, it doesn't provide that one. To combine workbooks, roles. So let's use VLOOKUP. Easily we can use VLOOKUP. So I'm going to insert here. And I'm going to say, okay, let's say employee from, right? Let's say employees from employee number from master file. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from the master file. So I will keep open the master file, the employee master file, employee master is here. Right. So here the master file opened. So let's go here. So here it's employee master. And you can see, unfortunately, there's a small issue. So we have to convert this to, so here, no problem. Yeah. Maybe we can convert both as numbers, but let's try. So you can say VLOOKUP. We look up and we can see whether it's employee number is there. Okay. Whether we shall return the same number. So I select that and I press command 1 and I'll say false. So it came. Right. The number came from employee master file. So let's drag this. For almost all the payroll, that's there. But there are 2 employees who are not having the numbers in the master file. Who are these? Who are these employees? Ghost employees. These are ghost employees, right? So you can go and check that. Now, let's say 108, right? And you can go to this the employee master file, and you can see whether there's an employee like that. There cannot be. If there is, then they should have, it has been indicated. File next. It's not there. So in the master file, the employee is not there, but in the payroll, the employee has been paid. In fact, paid a little bit of huge amount. Gross pay of how much? So 109, 108, and 109. Audit. If I were you, I would have investigated. These are called ghost employees. Right? These are called ghost employees. You go to the payroll file and do a VLOOKUP, and easily you will be able to identify whether they are ghost employees. Okay. I'm going to delete this column because it's not required. Or you can write even a Python code to give you ghost employees to compare these 2 files and to provide a list of employees who are not there. And you can run that code forever. Right? Just you have to have new data only, new data in new file. Okay, I think that's more than enough related to audit data analytics. And now let's go right to our past paper discussion. Any questions before we do that? Is it clear?
Yes.
Very good. Now, people who are really working and doing auditing, and even people who are in organizations in different places, you can easily employ these methods, right, to kind of do your audits, and also be inspired with Python. Python is a great language, and ChatGPT can write the code for you, and you can run, you can make your lives easy, right, and shut up your productivity. Maybe you might take 2 hours, but now it might take 1 minute to do tasks. Life is short, so use technology to make your life more productive. Right? Day-to-day activities could be made very, very productive, easy if you use Python, ChatGPT together. And not now people think ChatGPT is something bad to forge assignments. No, it's not for that. Right. Okay. So with that, then we'll complete audit data analytics and go to the past paper discussion. Right. So let me go to the final examination paper. Upload. Right. This is the paper that that they explained. So let me take it forward. Okay. Right. Can you see the screen, Putta?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Putta. Right. Now, that day we discussed this case, right? I told you in your question paper, there'll be question number 1, which is compulsory, which is a case, and then 3 other questions. Right? 3 other questions will be there. So that day I told you that in question number 1, you are given a case where it was at that time the internship satisfaction, right? And then in the appendix 1, the questionnaire had been given. And then you are given in appendix 2 the SPSS outputs. That day I explained that to you. Then you are asked certain questions, which I explained that day. And I fully recommend you and advise you to please go and listen to that, watch that video that I explained that day. Because the scenario will be different, but the questions might be quite similar. Right? Therefore, you might need to do that. You might need to look at it. So the second question you can see is on panel data analysis. And the third question is on additional analysis, like factor analysis and test of differences. That's question number 3 here, which I'll be discussing with you. Then question number 4 is SPSS related other analysis. Right, what? Descriptive analysis. Then again, test of differences. And also correlation analysis. Then finally, you have structural equation model. Right, which we discussed last week. Structural equation model. So shall we first discuss the structural equation modeling question? Okay. I think someone's okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, structural equation modeling. Taking kata no need. Okay. Right. Structural equation modeling. Right. Now you are given a structural equation model on the same case study with an additional age as a moderator. You can see here the age is used as a moderator. Lines have been drawn to the relationships. Can you see that? So perpendicular lines has been drawn. So age is what here taken as a moderator. Is that clear? Clear the age is a. So again, it has taken the same scenario, right, which was discussed under question number 1, but with the exception of age being taken as a moderator. right? Age of the student. Then you have been given the structural model, right? Actually, the inner model, right? That's what has been given. And then you have been given this the inner model, so it indicates the inner model. The inner model is also known as what? Inner model එකට කියන තව නමක් මොකද්ද? Inner model, what you call it?
Structural model.
Very good, structural model. Right. The outer model is known as what? Measurement model. Very good. Then you can see the p values are given, the coefficient values are given, as well as, right, this is the path diagram, and their significances are given. Right, this is the path coefficients are given. So you can see, I told you, age is a moderate on internship satisfaction. Then the other independent variables. So you have 3 independent variables: mental equality, task meaningfulness, organization culture on internship satisfaction. So there are 3 independent variables: mentorship quality, task meaningfulness, and organization culture. And we believe that impacts internship satisfaction. So actually that's what we discussed under question number 1. But here you can see age has been taken as a moderate. It's a moderate. Then you can see age, the direct impact on satisfaction is given. Then you have the independent variables and internship satisfaction. Then you can see here age into mentorship into internship satisfaction. That's the moderating relationship. So here multiplication sign comes. Please keep in mind, we discussed this, that it's a moderation. It's a moderation. Here also age is, now this is the first moderation. Right? Age into mentorship quality and internship satisfaction. And the second moderation is age into task meaningfulness. That's the second one. Moderation. Then there will be a third one over here, age into organization culture, right? Impacts. Then what's the impact on satisfaction? Now, if you look at the 3 independent variables, what are 3 independent variables? These are 3 independent variables. Now tell me, is the impact significant? Is the impact significant? Then me independent variables to not clear. What are the 3 independent variables? Mentorship quality, organization culture, and task meaningfulness. Right? Those are the 3 independent variables. So you can see these are 3: mentorship quality, task meaningfulness, and organization culture. We believe it impacts the internship satisfaction. Now tell me, by looking at this file, are the 3 independent variables significant? No. Only you can see only what? Only organization culture. Ah, very good. Only organization culture is significant. Did age moderate these relationships? Age, meaning mentorship quality, age, task meaningful? No. How about the last one? Again, no. So age is not a moderate. So here also you can see only organization culture has a positive impact on the internship satisfaction. Culture matters a lot, isn't it? Right. So now first term, explain the importance of structural equation modeling as an analytical technique. Why I told you that structural equation modeling is so important? Because it could test what? Complex, intricate models, right? OLS regression under SPSS could test simple models, but smart PLS could test complex models. And also in smart PLS or structural equation modeling, right, you don't need the assumption that the data need to be normal. Data could be, no. Data could be wrong. Right? Abnormal. My daughter also has come to study smart PLS. Okay. Right. So data could be abnormal. And then the question asks, identify the independent, dependent, and moderator variables. Can you identify the independent variables, the moderator variable and the dependent variable? Students, tell me.
Yes, sir.
Ah, very good. If not, I would have asked my 2.5-year-old daughter to tell me. Yours has come. Okay, right. Now tell me, what are the independent variables? What's the dependent variable and what's the moderator variable? Simple, is it? Independent, dependent, and the moderator variable. What are the independent variables? Mentorship quality.
Mentorship.
Task meaningfulness. Organization culture. Right? Are independent variables. Then what's the dependent variable?
Internship satisfaction.
Internship satisfaction. Excellent. What's then the moderator?
Age.
Very good. So you can see these are the moderators, mediators. There's no mediators. There's the independent variables and the dependent variable and the moderating variable. Right. Discuss the relationship between the different variables. Already I did that. So by looking at this path coefficient table, what can you tell? What's the only significant variable relationship? Is this where the p-value is less than 0.05. So organization culture has a positive impact on internship satisfaction. That's the only variable that's significant. Right? Do you agree? Then recommend strategies. Now remember, when you recommend strategies, you have to give strategies only for significant variables. You have to give strategies for only significant variables. Now here, only significant variable is what? Organization culture. So therefore, you have to tell how the organization culture could be improved for internship satisfaction. So if you give any other recommendation, then you lose marks. It's not relevant because you have to give recommendations, keep in mind, only based on significant variables. Right? Is that clear? So you can tell, okay, so you can tell how you can improve the organization culture. You can tell how you can improve the organization culture. Like for an example, we can have now, these are interns now. For interns, you can explain that, of course, you have to give better facilities and cordial culture, relationships, and the bosses should treat them very well. Likewise, etc., etc. You can just explain these things. Right? So anything related to organization culture, improve. So you get 20 marks. Is it difficult? Not at all. Right. Okay. So any questions, concerns? Clear the?
Yes.
Okay, Buddha. Then now let's go to question number. We go to question number 3, which is quite easy. So I'll first deal with question number 3. So factor analysis and test of differences. So what it says is, okay. It says what? It says differentiate between independent sample t-test and paired sample t-test using an appropriate example of your choice. So you can use the same examples in independent sample t-test. You compare two independent groups like males and females in terms of a certain characteristic, whether they are different in terms of that characteristics. Or you can take paired sample t-test, where you take the same person doing two different subjects and you are trying to see whether it's significantly different. So that's paired sample t-test. You can take the same examples I took in the class. Right? I took in the class. Then explain the purpose of performing factor analysis. I told you that there are how many purposes of doing a factor analysis. What were the purposes? Did I teach you that?
Two purposes.
Very good. What are the two purposes?
To reduce the data.
Very good. To reduce the data, that's number one. And then number two is what?
To check the construct validity.
Construct validity. Very good. Construct validity. So if it loads to one factor, you say it's construct validity. Very nice. And data reduction, we also understood. Now look at these scenarios. Recommend appropriate statistical analysis for each independent case below with justification. Now read this very carefully and tell me what kind of test you have to perform. If you're unable, I'll ask my 2-year and 5 months old daughter to tell. Now she's with me. Let's read it. A pharmaceutical company is testing a new drug designed to lower cholesterol levels in patients. They have conducted a clinical trial with a sample of 50 patients who have high cholesterol levels. The company wants to analyze whether the average reduction in cholesterol levels after taking the drug is statistically significant compared with the population mean cholesterol level, a benchmark 239. So that's the level. So cholesterol level should be below 239. Right. Now you are seeing whether the sample average is significantly different from this particular benchmark value. What's the test that you do?
One sample t-test.
Excellent. You gave the absolute correct answer. Right? When you are very correct. So what you do is you take the mean value, the average, and if you compare that with the benchmark, right, that's one sample t-test. Right? I took the bulb example. Right? Average burning time. I think you can remember at the when I taught you in the class. Right? Good. Very good. Then case number 2. A marketing team is testing the effectiveness of 3 different advertising strategies, A, B, and C, on sales conversion rates for a product. So conversion rate means here how many people buy. This after marketing campaign only. They have 3 marketing campaigns, and they are trying to look at what marketing campaign is more effective in more sales conversion. Sales conversion means people after the campaign they buy that. Conversion means they buy. They have implemented each strategy in different regions and collected data over 3 months. So what's the test that you have to do to see the effectiveness of these marketing campaigns, A, B, and C, if you want to compare? What's the test?
One-way ANOVA.
Very good. Excellent. Why one-way ANOVA? Because you have more than
Two groups.
more than 2 groups. Excellent. So when you have more than 2 groups, you have to perform one-way ANOVA. And even you can tell, you can perform one-way ANOVA with post-hoc analysis. Post-hoc analysis will tell exactly what the groups are different from each other. Isn't it? Okay. It will tell exactly what's different from each other. Exactly. Right. While one-way ANOVA analysis overall will tell whether there are differences indeed. Okay. Look at case number 3. Look at case number 3. A researcher is investigating whether there is a difference in the pain relief efficacy between 2 different types of painkillers used to treat chronic lower back pain. Right. The study involves 50 participants with chronic lower back pain randomly assigned to either painkiller A or painkiller B. After a month of treatment, participants were asked to rate their pain relief on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 indicating complete relief. Now comes the important part. Read it very carefully. Right? However, what does it say? However, upon analyzing the data, the researcher found that the pain relief ratings were highly skewed. With a substantial number of patients reporting very low or very high ratings. The distribution of ratings did not meet the assumption required for parametric tests. So an indication is given. What's the test that you have to do? Now, had the data had been normal, if you want to compare two groups, you would have used what? The independent sample t-test. But here it very clearly indicates the data is not normal. The data is abnormal. In that case, what you have to perform? The non-parametric version of the parametric independent sample t-test. What's the non-parametric version? Mann-Whitney U-test. So the answer for this case is Mann-Whitney U-test. You have to perform a Mann-Whitney U-test. You get 12 marks to tell that. And for the first two, it's 8 marks. So you get 20 whole marks. So is this subject difficult? No. Exactly what I taught is there. Right. So now let's come to the SPSS related addition analysis, question number 4. So it's in given in appendix 4. So here you can see, first of all, it asks you to describe the variables using the appropriate output of descriptive statistics. So if you go to appendix 4, I'm going to break the screen. I'm going to crack the screen into 2. Don't worry, I'm not going to break it, but I'm going to split it. So I'm going to go now to appendix 2. Appendix 4, in fact. If you go to appendix 4. Here, appendix 4 is there. Here you can see descriptive analysis is given. Under descriptive analysis, it has taken those 4 variables: mentorship quality, task meaningfulness, organizational culture, and internship satisfaction. And it gives what? The maximum, minimum values, the mean value, the standard deviation, skewness, and kurtosis. By looking at this data, now you can easily describe the sample. You can say the internship satisfaction is on average 3.4, which is slightly above 3. And on the other hand, under the independent variables, the highest value is 3.9893. That's task meaningfulness. And then you can comment on the standard deviation as well, which has the highest standard deviation. It is, in fact, the internship satisfaction, so that there's variations among the students, high variations. Likewise, you can comment, and you can comment the skewness and kurtosis, all are below plus or minus 3. So that shows there is no much big issue in data. So likewise, then you can, of course, you can comment on minimum and maximum values as well. Here, maximum Likert scale 1 to 5, so therefore maximum is 5. So likewise, you could describe based on descriptive statistics. Then comes comment whether the internship satisfaction differs based on the following demographic factors using the appropriate output: based on gender, based on year of study, major, sector. So you can go down. So you can see result 2 under appendix 4 is on gender. Gender internship satisfaction, you can see 3.3, then 3.5. So females are a little bit, seems quite satisfied in terms of their internship. But is it significant? Is it significant? Is it significant? The output indicates what? T-test output significant level is above 0.05. So no. So our conclusion is what? Based on gender, males and females, right? Based on gender, males and females are not significantly different in terms of their internship satisfaction. So because it's above 0.05. Then comes the next output. Year of study, third year, fourth year, again 2 groups. So again, they have performed an independent sample t-test. Now what's the sig value? It's 0.242, which is well above 0.05. Again, what we have to conclude is there is no significant difference between year 3 and year 4 students in terms of their internship satisfaction. No difference. Then major area of study. Major area of study, you can see business major is there, non-business major is there. Business majors internship satisfaction is 3.3, non-business majors 3.5. But is it significant? That's what we are going to see. An independent sample t-test has been performed. You can see again the sig level is what? 0.251. Is it above 0.05? Yes, indeed, it's above 0.05. So what's the conclusion? No significant difference between what? Business majors and non-business majors in terms of their internship satisfaction. Then finally, major area of sector where they get their internship. So you can see how many sectors are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 4. 4 sectors are there. What is sector? Private sector, public sector, and BPO sector. Likewise, 4 sectors are there. And their satisfaction levels are given here. Mean values are given 3.5, 3.6, 3.6, 3.3. And so it's more than 2 groups. So in that case, you check the ANOVA. And yes, ANOVA indicates what? Overall, there is no significant difference. Based on the sector, there is no significant difference in their internship satisfaction. Then they have done a post-hoc analysis as well to see whether there are exact differences. Again, I don't see any differences. Right? Again, all the significant levels are above 0.05. And no asterisks are there. You can see no asterisks are given. And there's no footnote as well. All indicates what? There's no significant difference in terms of individual pairs as well. Pairs are available. So overall, based on any of these characteristics, right, gender, year of study, major, sector, there is no significant difference between and among the compared groups. So that's how you could explain. Right. Then finally it says, okay, comment on the relationship. So now this part B and part C. So the relationship, if you go to the last one in that's result number 6 in appendix number 4, the correlation is given. And you can see age and the internship satisfaction. Then the independent variables, the 3 independent variables, and the internship satisfaction. Actually, the last column summarizes everything. Right? Internship satisfaction and age. Is there a significant relationship? Is there a significant relationship? No. Your sig value is above 0.05. So you cannot say there's a slight negative or weak negative correlation. That's absolutely wrong to tell that. So what you could say is that there's no systematic relationship between age and internship satisfaction. But how about the next variable? Mentorship quality. It has a significant positive but weak relationship with internship satisfaction. The next one is also same. The next one is also quite same. All have a significant positive but weak relationship. Right. Right, quite weak. So that's how you interpret with your main independent variable, with your main dependent variables, internship satisfaction, and the other variables. So that's where you discuss the relationships. So that was the answer for part C. Let me take to part C. It says comment on the relationships of selected variables with internship satisfaction based on the output related to the correlation analysis. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. So you get 20 whole marks. Right? Okay. Then finally, we shall go into the panel data analysis. Did we discuss that the panel data analysis? Panel data analysis discuss करा? Okay, maybe yes or no. Right. So here, but please watch that segment of the video. It was done on a particular Sunday, right? Because I did it purposely, discuss that purposely, because then it would be helpful for your understanding at that point. You have to come up with your individual assignment. So please watch that. Then here the dependent variable under panel data analysis, fluctuation of GDP. And there are 3 independent variables: financial development. That's you take the ratio of total deposit of bank to GDP. Then trade openness. Then per capita income. So then in appendix 3, they have given the analysis, right, on state. Did I discuss winsorization? Winsorization discuss करा? Winsorization means what? You treat the outliers. You treat the outliers. Right. If I did not discuss that, just ignore this question. Right. As I have told you, I'll be testing what I have taught. So see the videos. If I taught that, I'll be testing that. Right. Simply that's it. Then discuss the model significance based on the first panel regression output. Model significance based on the first panel regression output. Fixed effect. We know we can run the panel regression based on fixed effect and random effects. Right. Now see, the first panel regression is on fixed effect. So check whether it's significant. So panel regression. Panel. Where's the panel regression? Oh, yeah. So this is on fixed effect. You can see how to know that it's fixed effect. You can see at the end, it says what? FE. Right? FE. So what it says what? So let's keep it over here and let's split the screen again. Right? I like to split the screen so I can see again what's asked. Okay, let's go up. Panel regression. It's a good panel regression. Yeah. Fact analysis and then winsorization. Discuss the model significance based on the first panel regression. So whether the model is significant. What to see? I told you when it comes to panel regression analysis, the significance is given over here. The F-test significance is given over here. So model is what? Probability F, right? The F-test probability value is 0.000, which is very tiny. Less than 0.05. So we conclude what? The panel is very significant. So the answer is there. Then based on the results of provided in appendix 3, discuss which specification, fixed or random. You have to choose between fixed or random. Now you can run panel regression under fixed specification as well as random specification. How to choose? What's the test that you do? You do an additional test. What's that?
Houseman test.
Very good. Excellent. So let's go to the Houseman test. Excellent. I got the answer. So you can see the Houseman test is given at the end. You can see this is the Houseman test. Fixed random, it has checked that. And you can see it shows what? 0.02. So if the Houseman test significant value is less than 0.05, what you use?
Yeah.
What do you use?
Yeah.
My daughter also gives the answer. What do you use? If less than 0.05. My God, my daughter also gave the answer. She's 2
X
years.
defect.
Very good, excellent. She did not give the answer though, but again, it motivated you. Of course, it's fixed effect. Less than 0.05, you would use the fixed effect regression. Excellent. Right? So that's the answer. Then finally, suggest recommendations based on the correct regression. So the correct regression is basically to increase GDP, what to do. So here you can see you have to use the fixed effect. This random effect, the second regression, that should not be looked into. So because Hausman test says the first one. So based on that, you can see you go to the p-value, and here you can see deposit GDP has no impact, but on the other hand, trade openness has no impact. These the sig values over here, and yes, these two, this one, not two, what that log GDP PC. That means per capita GDP, right? Per capita income has a significant impact on GDP variation, right? So that's what you can say. So increase per capita income, so the GDP will have a greater long-term impact. So that's the recommendation you could give. So likewise, choose the, now here there are two specifications given in Appendix 3, and use the Hausman test, and we understood based on the Hausman test, which is given at the end of this output, right, of this appendix. You can see you have to use a fixed effect model, and based on the fixed effect model, you can see that there's only one variable that's significant. Here you can see less than 0.05, and you base your recommendation based on that. Right. So therefore, you don't need to write, for this exam paper, you don't need to write a lot of details, but you have to give adequate explanation, theory and the application and the interpretation. But I don't expect you to write novels, short stories, right? Just explain the fact and give your verdict. Okay. Right. So that discussion ends the entire paper. So I, in fact, discussed the entire paper, which is not usual. We don't discuss past papers at degree programs, but for my good students, I went out of the way. Right. Okay, so all questions are discussed, and expect not the same paper though, right? The same structure you can expect. Right, again, there will be a case study, not the same one, but something similar. And you'll be given the output. No, you are not going to be asked to bring computers and do the analysis, or given computers and do the analysis. You'll be given like this, the same structure will be there. And you'll have the same experience. Okay. Okay. Any questions that would like to? So this ends the discussion. Even I today took you through all kind of data, but audit data index. Okay. What else to discuss, isn't it? It මදි වගේ නේද? නෑ සර් ඇති හොඳටම ඇති. Okay. Okay, students. Any questions or concerns? Okay, we started with how to open SPSS, and today we are discussing past papers, even audit data analytics, and we have come a very long way. And I have given all the things I know. Even I don't know, I would find out and tell you. Even I tried to tell you the importance of Python and how you can use ChatGPT to write your own programs. So, because I'm a researcher and I'm an explorer. I would always like to try and find new things and then teach my good students, share that with my good students. Okay, please hold on. My daughter also came to study now, so she suddenly left. So I had to look into where she was going. Okay, right. With that, then I think the series comes to an end. Thank you very much. You were all with me till the end. And yes, we have 23 students out of, I don't know how many students, 50, 60, 70, I don't know. But again, what matters is not the number. What matters is what you got out of this. So hope you got how to do a data analysis, and this will help you to do any kind of analysis in your research in the future that you are trying to do. Okay, so I'm pretty sure because even I taught you smart PLAs and how to do structural equation modeling, then panel data analysis, normal OLS regression analysis, and a host of other analysis that even today I took you through what is data analysis, right? And taught you about Python as well, and how you can easily write Python code for maximizing your productivity, personal productivity, as well as office productivity. Okay, I think that's enough. So thank you very much. Do you have any questions before we wind up? And today is going to be the last day, right? Hopefully, and there's not going to be any further days. So every journey has a beginning as well as an end. But I will never say goodbye to my good students, right? Why? Because we are going to meet again someday in some other capacity. Maybe not in the same degree program as SAB, but maybe in your MBA or maybe in your PhD. Who knows? So I would never say goodbye to my good students. The only thing I would say is I wish you all the very best, right? In your studies, in your exams, and in your life, right? So work hard, work smart, be ethical, and you can achieve anything. Students, do you need anything to clarify? Now is the time that you can ask. No questions? Okay. So in that case, I think we can complete the series. You can complete the series. And again, my daughter has come with it. So,